Minecraft. What's up, Doc? I'm so glad you asked. Let me tell you. Hello, and welcome to not Exploration and Tactics, but just kind of a random Minecraft episode where I happen to be in the previous season's Exploration and Tactics world, where we discovered just about everything there was to discover from the last couple of updates, 1.10 and 1.11. There were a number of loose ends, but at this point I've kind of gone and learned about most of them on my own. I still don't know what the fossils look like, and so that's something that I'm actually interested in checking out, and so I'm just going to go into game mode 3 so I can fly around. And I guess, yeah, there's deserts to the north. I guess I'll just start flying there because there's a few things I want to talk about. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next in the context of Minecraft, or just kind of like, I don't know, in general. Like, I don't have any good projects. I haven't had any good project ideas in a while. And so, oh, that's right, I can use the scroll wheel to fly faster. Let me do that so that we can get up to the desert a little bit faster over here. Oh, here's the crazy things that I had to build in order to get the llamas to go around. And let's see, if I'm down here, I probably am going to want some night vision too. So let me, oops. Effect at P night vision 99991 true, I think. That's what I want. Yeah, there we go. All right, so yes, I understand that there will sometimes be some bones under the desert. They won't be very deep. You can see a number of the places where I was digging down in deserts, presumably looking for bones. But I'm not sure how easily visible they're going to be, and I guess they're in one of 64 chunks, is what I've learned. But I still don't know what they actually look like. I've managed to avoid that, so I thought perhaps we could see my reaction to them on camera if I could see them. Although I don't know if they were just like completely like embedded in the sand in the desert. I don't even know that in spectator mode we will be able to find them all that easily. But maybe I'll be able to spot some as I fly around and talk. So in any case, one of the projects, obviously, that I was thinking of now that I've caught back up in 1.11 is to update Bingo to that version. And I spent a bit of time the last couple of days kind of thinking about it and trying to like map some things out. Okay, where's the next desert? Probably further this way. And it's kind of problematic because there aren't any new items that I would want to add to bingo cards, which is kind of like one of the main motivations for updating bingo, is to kind of like change the items that are available on the cards and different things. And so, yeah, I looked very carefully not only at all the new items, but once again at all of the items in Minecraft, all of the items that have 16 by 16 pixel art when you hold them in your inventory, which make them easy to draw on the maps. And yeah, there are no other items that I would want to add. I have done pixel art before for fireworks rockets, and that is something that I would have as like a higher tier of gunpowder because it requires gunpowder and paper. So that's an item that I would not mind adding, but it's like it's not even like one full item because rather than gunpowder appearing as often as possible, like sometimes gunpowder would appear and sometimes fireworks rockets would appear. And the only item that I would consider removing is the emerald because I certainly don't find it very fun. It requires a whole lot of luck to manage to get an emerald. Okay, I'm no longer in the desert again, so let's do some more flying and see if we can find another desert. Trying to remember from my map where another desert is, but I can't right now, so we'll just fly and see what we find. And let's see. So, yeah, there aren't any new items. The fireworks rocket could be a kind of like tiny little bit of an item, but it would hardly change things up. And the other thing that's nice with fireworks rockets, one is people probably know how to craft them now because they're so valuable with Elytra. And so it would be a recipe. I think that's one of the reasons I didn't include it in previous versions of Bingo, is it was a recipe that I wasn't sure that people knew. But now I think people would know that recipe. And also, there are various game modes in the bingo lobby, and one of them was Elytra wings and a stack of jump boost potions. You can tell I'm generating new chunks as I go out here now, so we'll just generate some new terrain. And what was I saying? Right, one of the bingo game modes has Elytra, and it had these stacked jump boost potions, and now I would change that to stacked fireworks rockets, which are way better because they actually stack, and so if you drop them and die, you don't end up with 64 jump boost potions on the ground that completely fill and clutter your inventory, which was one of the main problems. Oh, when llamas generate in the world like horses, they're so large that they sometimes suffocate in blocks and die. Fix your game, Mojang. I guess that's not a huge deal. And llamas apparently only generate in extreme hills, which is something I don't think I completely realized when I was playing through Exploration and Tactics. So yes, the new updates have not added anything to Bingo in that regard, and they have kind of subtracted from it, because in biomes like this, in ice plains, and a couple other icy biomes, those are now more disadvantaged biomes because they are less likely to spawn friendly mobs like pigs that you can kill for food, and they might have polar bears, which may have cubs, which may attack you, and they don't really have any kind of valuable thing to help you out. I guess there's a small chance the polar bears could drop fish, so maybe that kind of like evens it out. And at nighttime, the icy areas will have the strays that will hit you with slowness arrows, so it kind of make icy biomes less valuable in Bingo. And similarly, there's mesas that now have mine shafts up at the top that makes it much easier to get to gold. And so mesas would become a lot more valuable. And mesas are relatively infrequent, even in tiny biomes worlds like Minecraft Bingo World is. And so it makes it very luck-based whether or not you're going to find the Mesa mine shaft, which would help you get a lot of items in Bingo. And so that kind of increases the luck factor of Minecraft Bingo in a 1.11 world versus Minecraft Bingo in a 1.9 world. As well as the icy biomes being kind of like less valuable, makes it less so that you kind of want to go into them. And so those changes, I think, make Bingo not any more interesting and a little bit less fair and a little bit more random than Bingo is in 1.9. So I'm not particularly motivated to update Bingo because I'm not sure that the game would be better in 1.11. It feels like it might be worse. But I'm willing to listen to other feedback along those lines, but that's just kind of the thinking that I had with regards to Bingo, since that was one obvious project I might have now that I've caught up to 1.11 and could learn the new 1.11 command syntax and a few of the new 1.11 commands. Still hoping to find another desert. I need to remember that a swamp could also have fossils, and I can always use commands to try to locate some of these things as well, and so I might end up doing that. So that is one project that I was thinking about that I'm not particularly motivated to work on right now. The other one is trying to do some kind of new update with Vanilla Swirl, and there are a few new mechanics and mobs that are interesting in terms of CTM map making. And so the ones that I wrote down, strays are kind of interesting mobs with the slowness arrows, as well as more generally just the fact that apparently you can put a tipped arrow in a skeleton's offhand and they will shoot arrows of that type. And so, for example, in a difficult area, you could have skeletons that were holding poison arrows in their offhand. And so that means if you got shot by a skeleton, you'd get poisoned, just as a for example. And so that's an interesting way to take a vanilla mob and just kind of tweak it a tiny bit that makes it a whole lot more difficult or interesting to work with. So that could be something interesting in terms of CTM map making, just for making challenging areas. The Totem of Undying is another very interesting item, I think, for a CTM map. I haven't thought through exactly all of the details of when and how it would be interesting to use, but I'm fairly certain there would be cool things you could do with Totems of Undying in a CTM map. Wow, there's a large mine shaft over here. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm not going to see any of the bone blocks. I have a feeling they're just like embedded in the terrain or something. Oh, wait. This appears to be one. Okay, actually found one in creative mode. Neat. Let's see. Let's do this. Let's go back into game mode 1. All right, so there's bone blocks inside this mine shaft, And I guess I'm just going to try to carve out kind of the area where it is to see what these bones look like and see if they're anything interesting. Alright, there's something somewhat satisfying about just kind of like carving that out. And there were a few pieces of mine shaft that generated inside here, and so I punched out those pieces as well, but maybe they would have been kind of more an intact piece of this skeleton remnant or whatever it is. But yeah, I could see why people would say I'd be underwhelmed. It's basically just kind of like a clump of bone blocks that's maybe in the shape of some kind of skeletal bone of some giant creature or something, I imagine. I'll continue to look around and see if I can spot another one somewhere. But at least I can say that I actually, just kind of found one flying around now. And so have a sense of what those things are like. And I managed to spawn a whole bunch of cave spiders along the way. Yeah, so let me go back to what I was saying in terms of other things for CTM maps. So the Totem of Undying could be an interesting mechanic that I could imagine leveraging in a few ways. It's also the case I really quickly wanted to check the height, how deep this thing was. This is at a Y of like 45 or so, and the height here was around 64, and so yeah, it was about 20 blocks deep, which is what people were suggesting. Okay. Totem of Undying could be cool. It's also the case that the exploration maps, it might have been possible to do something like the exploration maps previously in Minecraft, but definitely there's like a new color map NBT data. I haven't looked into kind of like all the details of it, but I have a sense of how you could kind of make your own exploration maps. That would be pretty cool. I really do like the sand that hangs down here now and has like the falling sand particles. It's being kind of, I don't know, exciting. Oh, this text pops up in that new line, the same line that like you can't sleep in the bed right now, as opposed to popping up in the chat. That's cool. That's because I'm in spectator mode, and so it hasn't actually generated the loot table yet, because only actual players and not spectator players can generate that loot. Right, and so in Vanilla Swirl, I had used a couple of crazy methods of my own invention, like the, I forget what it was called. It was basically like a magical stick that like points you in the direction of where something was buried, and then I had like the proximity detector that would like tell you when you're getting warm or hot for like finding certain things randomly in the world. But the exploration maps is also a cool way to kind of like give people a treasure map in order to help them find some distant location. I definitely enjoyed it inside vanilla Minecraft, and now that, that mechanic is more familiar, although it was relatively kind of like obvious how it worked, that is something else I could imagine, using in a CTM map or something like Vanilla Swirl in order to lead people to a faraway place that would have some kind of treasure or some kind of dungeon or something like that. So the exploration maps are pretty cool. Curse of Binding and Curse of Vanishing both could be interesting in terms of loot for CTMs. And actually something that I'm interested in knowing is whether or not you can put the Curse of Vanishing on a shulker box. Because I think that would be an interesting combination of mechanics. And we might just be able to try that out in creative mode, actually. Let me go back into this mode. Yeah, I don't really care about my inventory, I don't think, but I'll go ahead and just move a few things up. So shulker box, it looks like I have an extra shulker box that appears to be empty, so that's very convenient. But I will also need an anvil, which I believe is a decoration block. Yes, there we go. And a Curse of Vanishing book, which would be wherever books are. Gosh, it's been a while since I used the creative inventory. Holy cow. If I were books, it's not redstone, it's not transportation, it's not decoration. It'd probably be under like swords and things, right? Curse of Vanishing, there we go. So the question is, am I allowed to apply a Curse of Vanishing to a shulker box? Yes! Cool. So I imagine... let's see. I think just so that I know where I'm going to be when I respawn, because I'm going to kill myself here, we'll go back home. Let's go ahead and make it, time set 0. Let's go ahead and advance the next day too. All right, so all right, I have a shulker box that has the Curse of Vanishing. So first of all, I'm going to put it down, and let's go actually into survival mode and hope that there weren't any monsters who spawned too nearby. No, I seem like I'm okay. Okay, so it's a shulker box. If I pick it back up, does it still have the Curse of Vanishing? I don't think it did, actually. Let me throw this one out of my inventory. Hold on. Okay, so that's a shulker box. If I pick it back up, it does not. Oh, that's kind of a shame. My idea was, inside a CTM map, is that you'll recall in Vanilla Swirl, it was the case that there were lots of treasure loot chests around the world that would have things like boxes full of decorative blocks in case you wanted to build a base in your CTM map. And a box full of decorative blocks is a big pain in the neck to like carry back all of the blocks individually back to your base. And so I did have a few NBT chests that you could pick up that basically, you know, would have a bunch of items in them, and you could just get that chest out and carry it back home and then set the chest down, and it would have all the stuff in it. And that was using NBT chests, which were kind of like a thing that you had to kind of, you know, not really hack in, but like, you know, do special things with the NBT data in order to, you know, it's not something you would normally encounter in the survival world, and so you needed some explanation. Shulker boxes kind of like reify that into a feature that just normally appears in survival. But shulker boxes, in addition to being able to carry a whole lot of stuff back home, once you set down an NBT chest, it would lose its NBT-edness or whatever, and so when you picked it back up, it would just be a normal chest in Vanilla Swirl, for example. But the shulker boxes you can pick back up, and now they've just, you know, doubled your inventory space or whatever. And so if you wanted to make it easy for people to transport stuff back home, but did not want to give them the advantage of being able to kind of safely cart around a whole lot of extra stuff, I was thinking an interesting trade-off would be to have a shulker box that had the Curse of Vanishing on it, which meant it would allow people to lug a bunch of stuff back, you know, to their home base or to the monument from a remote area, but it would carry the increased risk that if they died along the way, they would lose all of that stuff. And so I was thinking Curse of Vanishing plus a shulker box would be an interesting combination. But unfortunately, apparently, it doesn't actually work that way. So you can put the Curse of Vanishing on it, but all they'd have to do is set it down on the ground and then pick it back up, and it would lose the Curse of Vanishing. So that's too bad, because I thought that that would be an interesting combination. What other types of things have been added that would be interesting for CTM maps? The new mobs, Vindicators a little bit, but mostly the Evokers and Vexes are interesting mobs, both in terms of being difficult, and also I could imagine, you know, Vexes, just because they can fly through walls and things, it could also be interesting to have other mobs like riding them, or if you just wanted like weird particle effects flying around in the air that would kind of like chase after the player. Or something, or have like ghostly kind of things or whatever. You could do things with invisible Vexes maybe or something. I don't know. That seems like it would be kind of cool. So yeah, Vanilla Swirl was a ton of work. I do have a lot of infrastructure built for making those types of maps, but a bit of it would have to be updated because they have changed a number of things with commands and NBT data in the last couple of updates, and so it still would be a bit of work just to, like, you know, without any changes, getting Vanilla Swirl working once again in 1.11. But that's something I've thought about doing. And yeah, then finally, I've been catching up on Ethos videos from the last two updates, which in Ethos main play world, I don't know. I went through all the videos in just like 3 or 4 days, so he didn't have all that many. It was a little bit disappointing. But he did have a few cool ideas, and one of them involved super smelting and survival, like hooking up 128 furnaces and a little mechanism so that you could smelt, you know, like 20 stacks of sand into glass very quickly. And I'm not sure. It seemed like he maybe had an overcomplicated way to do it, and I think maybe I have an idea for a simpler way to do it, but I might play around with that as just kind of like a survival mechanism tutorial, something kind of thing, if it actually works out. It's like one other tiny idea I had recently, just because I've been watching Etho, or catching up on watching Etho. But yeah, basically Bingo doesn't seem like there's a whole lot new. CTM and Vanilla Swirl, I have a few ideas, but it would be a lot of work, and so I'm not sure that I'm committed to doing anything there. And yeah, kind of like one idea for just like survival, redstone, minecart hopper kind of stuff after watching Etho do some things. But yeah, apart from those things, and then obviously Render XR has a new map that's currently, I think, in open beta still. That's Corona Trials, and it's a bit of an easier map than Myriad Caves, which is the last map of his that I played, apparently, but it still sounds like it would be a lot of fun. And so I do intend to play it, but I'm wondering if I should wait. I know some of his beta testers are already like halfway through the map or more. I wonder if I should wait for other people to finish or mostly finish in case Render wants to do some updates to get it out of beta. So I might wait before I actually start playing that map, is another thing that I've been thinking about doing. But yeah, basically, I'm kind of, I don't know, in a creative funk or something. I have been for a while, I feel like, and so I've been kind of like coasting with exploration and tactics the last couple of months because Minecraft has given me new stuff to explore and play through. But yeah, I've been trying to think of ideas for a while and just haven't had anything new or exciting come up. So by all means, if you have ideas or encouragement or any other types of things, you can let me know in the comments. But that's kind of where things stand right now. There might not be videos for a few days. I'm actually going away just for a few days. I'll probably manage to get some bingo videos. Yeah, they might end up being late next week. I'm not sure because I'm kind of going away near the weekend. So yeah, if there aren't videos for a few days on the channel, don't panic. I'm just doing a little bit of traveling. But yeah, I'm not sure what will appear next. So yeah, wish me luck in coming up with some ideas, or feel free to leave comments to help me out with that. But don't feel obligated. And yeah, in any case, I'll probably see you again sometime later next week with some more bingo stuff. But I hope, as always, that you guys are having a great day, and I will see you when I see you. Bye-bye. I'm not wearing Elytra wings.